All right. This is the geek protagonist. And I think it's time that we clear up a little something something because it I'm seeing a lot of anger about this Spider-Man situation, and I'm seeing people throw the word around. This particular word is anti-consumerism. No. Now this one's probably going to make you mad. You're wrong. It's not anti-consumerism. What it is in a sense, let's be real. Spider-Man is, and you can try to argue this, but you're wrong. Spider-Man is the most popular comic book character by a large margin. Now, some people might go, what about Batman? What about Superman? No, not even close. Spider-Man, whether he has a movie or not, legit clears $1 billion a year. And has been doing it for years. Batman is number 2, and he clears roughly over 400,000. He doesn't even get to half the billion. And I'm talking about as a character with merchandise, comic books, the whole thing as a franchise character. Spider-Man is $1 billion franchise whether he has a movie or not. Batman makes about a little over 400,000. Superman makes around 350 roughly, and then after that, the Avengers as a group comes up after Superman. When it comes to sales. Now that doesn't mean the characters don't make their money. Hulk, Iron Man, all of them, and their stock has gone up as Avengers since, right? But so you understand, and so for anybody, because I was talking to a couple of my friends or two, and when they were having the thing about it, they were like, "I don't even understand. People need to just get over." Well, it's Spider-Man. It's kind of the same thing. Like if you turn around and they said, "Hey, in Injustice, you're not going to get Red Hood, Sony. Or we're going to have Nightwing and you're not going to get him." So, yeah, people are going to be incited because these are big characters. Or if they, because they're big characters. And even though I said Red Hood and Nightwing, they are characters with a fan base. And people do enjoy those characters. So when people are saying it's anti-consumerism, no, it's not. From at least how it's been presented by Chris, I think it's Crystal Dynamics, it seems to be presented as such. It's DLC. They're going to do some cool stuff. It's not going to affect the storyline to the game. It's going to kind of be like a side quest kind of situation. It's going to be like something that you don't have to have in order to play the game. It's not even charging you. Anti-consumerism is like the loot boxes, or when I was playing Marvel Future Fight and they were like, well, spend money to gamble to get these things, and you just want this one thing but you got to gamble hundreds of dollars to do it. Stuff like that is anti-consumerism. Anti-consumerism, it does not benefit the players at all. This game with Spider-Man creates competition. Sony busted out that dollar. Now, some people are also like, well, Sony owns it. No, Sony owns the movie rights. They don't own the merchandising. They don't own. I don't even think they own the cartoon show anymore. I think that's why they lost Spectacular Spider-Man. And then like Ultimate was like half when the deal was going through. I don't even think they have that anymore. Like I think they literally have the movie rights. So when you're wondering, hey, why is Spider-Man exclusive to Sony? Well, technically it's not. Spider-Man was also, if you need me to back up what I'm saying, was also in Ultimate Alliance 3. That's on the Switch. So if he was an exclusive character, they wouldn't have been able to use him on Ultimate Alliance 3. They just have the game that's a Sony exclusive because the company that does it, whatever, did it specifically with Sony. And they have the license for it. So if you're gonna sit there and you're gonna start being mad, right, about the whole, well, it's not fair. It's anti-consumerism. It's not anti-consumerism. If you want to say something in the comments, go right ahead. But anti-consumerism would be like this. Let's use the Avengers, right? Let's say Spider-Man has a very particular storyline that's intricate to the Avengers. So the Avengers are trying to come back together with Kamala, and they come around and they do that, right? And now it's intricate and no one else gets it. Now, like I said, and it does not mean you're not allowed to be mad about it either. For it being on Sony, you are allowed. You have every right to be upset. You want it on your system or your PC or whatever you want to play it on, and I totally get that. And I'm going to use some examples as to why I understand that. But jumping on them like this, it's because it's Spider-Man, and this has been happening forever. So let me check my notes here, because I had a list out because I want to prove this. I remember, but it was like a kind of when I'm talking, sometimes I won't. I want you to go back in time in your head and think back to Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the first game. So, and I ended up getting it years later, but I was upset. Now, let me preface this too. I like PlayStation. I think computers are fine. One day I'm going to have a computer again that's going to be able to be gaming. There's a couple games on there. I've had Xboxes. I've actually had Xbox 360. Actually, right as of current, I have two Xbox 360s. I had another Xbox. Yeah, and the Xbox I had, the original one, when PlayStation 2 was out, was the Halo Special Edition. And I got the Xbox 360. And I kind of stopped. Now, I prefer PlayStation. I like the controller better. I like that they have the games that they have, everything like that. I have every single PlayStation, from PlayStation 1 all the way up to PlayStation 4. I do not have PlayStation Pro, because I don't have 4K TV yet. It's coming down the pipe. And at some point, I will have PlayStation 5. So, just so you know where I stand. So, when I get the game, which I am getting the Avengers game, I'm going to have Spider-Man. But so you understand that I do understand where you're coming from, but also to kind of show you, you can't really jump on Sony and them because Sony did money or Marvel without jumping on the gaming industry as a whole, which, yes, I get it. You're playing PC, you're playing Xbox, it's going to feel like a little bit less of a gaming experience because you don't get to have one of the toys in the toy box. I get it. Now, I want you to also think about the people who have a Nintendo Switch. They don't get it at all. And some people, that is the only system they have. So, back to what I was saying. You go back to Marvel Ultimate Alliance. You remember that game? Pretty big game. It was after they did a couple of those X-Men games. Now, PlayStation had it. It was on every console. PlayStation, PSP, Game Boy Advance at that time, and Xbox. I can't remember if Nintendo had it, but I know the Game Boy did. Nintendo probably did. So, there was an Xbox 360 Gold Deluxe Edition. And in that Gold Deluxe Edition, you got Cyclops, you got Hawkeye, you got Nightcrawler, Doctor Doom, Magneto, and Zorn as an alternate costume. Doctor Doom, it was Doctor Doom. Sabretooth, Venom. Now you had the Matt Gargan version, and you had the Angelito, I think his name Angelito Fornato version. Matt Gargan is Scorpion, but for a standard time he was Venom. And you also got the Hulk. PlayStation got none of those characters. You had to get the deluxe edition, which, like I said, years later I finally got it. I haven't really played it, but I haven't had time to play a lot of things. I've been very busy. But you had that. Now, the PSP, it did have a version of Black Widow, I think Yelena, which I think later came to the other ones anyway, so it kind of didn't really matter. You had Genus Vell. A lot of you may not know that. He's actually my favorite version of Captain Marvel, and I'm talking about Mar-Vell. He's the son. At one point, he was the character named Legacy. It's neither here nor there. It was my favorite one. One of the coolest fights was when him and Sentry actually had they went to the microverse, but I think Sentry actually killed him and left him there. But either way, he was Captain Marvel for a stint of time. He was an awesome character. They had him on the PSP. Hawkeye was supposed to be a PSP exclusive with the Ronin thing, and then Xbox actually got him. I think Game Boy had like Jean, Grey, Namor, Vision, I think. But Either way, yeah, I think that was it. PlayStation got none of that. And then I know you like the PSP. You could not transfer those characters from the PSP. So I had the PSP version specifically so I could play with those specific characters. Xbox exclusive. Now, back then, it really made me upset because I love the Incredible Hulk. Incredible Hulk is my favorite, and I wanted to play with Incredible Hulk. And I couldn't play with the Incredible Hulk. As a matter of fact, when they first announced Ultimate Alliance, I was pissed because I'm like, how are you going to have a Marvel game like this big and not have Hulk in it? And how can you not have Venom? And I remember my friend was PO because one of his favorite characters ever is Venom, and it's like, what the heck's going on here? And then Magneto. Magneto is like my favorite villain, one of my favorite characters. Because right now he's not really a villain, but Magneto's one of my favorite characters, and so is Doctor Doom. Magneto, like literally, I don't care if he's good or bad. I love Magneto. So you got that there, right? So now you have Spider-Man as a game franchise currently is on uh, exclusive to Sony, but I don't think it's wrong that Sony took advantage of it. You know, because they did the money and they want to make sure Spider-Man is still kind of known by them because they're coming out with that Miles Morales game. And I think if I remember correctly, the Spider-Man DLC to the game is not even coming out at launch. It's like coming out next year. So I think they're trying to line it up like they did before. When they had the Spider-Man game, you had Into the Spider-Verse, this great Spider-Man game. Venom was a sleeper hit. And then you had Into the Spider-Verse, which is like, an amazing film. And it was like kind of all like boom, 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 boom. So Sony had that lineup, and I think they're trying to go for a similar lineup. And they're like, well, we definitely want to make sure that people, when they think of Spider-Man, they think of Sony, because Sony's also thinking about their movies and their brand as a whole. Now, and like I said, I get it. Xbox PC is upset. I understand. But like I said, Marvel Ultimate Alliance did this a few years ago. So also let's look at something else. I like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I enjoy playing Ultimate Alliance. I know other people that enjoy playing Ultimate Alliance too, as well. I mean, because I'm saying two is two. But yeah, Ultimate Alliance 2, 1 and 2. I like both. It became a Nintendo Switch exclusive. I heard a little bit of rumbling, but people kind of just let it go. It's a Nintendo Switch exclusive when it was on all the consoles before. Now, I have a Nintendo Switch, so it doesn't really affect me, but it still stood out to me. But that creates competition. Now that it's exclusive, if you loved that game, now it's like, oh, maybe I need to get a Switch to get that game. See? So it makes the other companies have to step up and do tactics and things to try to do better. Competition is great. Without competition, you wouldn't have what you need. It works better. It's consumerism. Now, with this, let's bring up a few other things what happens, because I'm noticing a lot of people are jumping on Sony for basically spending money and doing a good business move. I get it upsets people, but it's going to make people buy that more, and that's what they want. And I mean, Xbox could have turned around and said, hey, let's get Wolverine, and could have paid for it, but that's not how it worked. Now, I want to also give another example of this, that Xbox has done this before, because I'm kind of getting tired of people piling on Sony like Xbox has never done this. I don't know if you guys remember, there was the Hulk Ultimate Destruction game, which is the greatest Hulk video game ever. Then there was the Hulk game that was based off of the Ang Lee one, and then there was the Incredible Hulk game. That was actually a pretty decent game. Even the Ang Lee one was alright. Only on the GameStop Xbox exclusive, and it was still an Xbox 360 exclusive, you could get Red Hulk. In the game Incredible, I think if I remember correctly, you could get the Hulk Buster too. But specifically the Xbox one, buying it there, you could get the Red Hulk. You could not get the Red Hulk on PlayStation. Now, should we be up in arms about that? No. It was a great move. So Sony with Arkham Asylum had it where on PS3 you could play as the Joker. Rise of the Tomb Raider was a whole year before Sony got it. Final Fantasy, a whole year before that. You go to the PUBG thing, there was a lot of work between, it's on PlayStation, but there was a lot of work between the computer and Microsoft. And Microsoft had a thing with it before it got to Xbox. The Call of Duty DLC, for years, would be out a month or so ahead of time. to do it. Now, there was also the Xbox thing when it was Sonic Sega All Stars, right? Racing. And with that, they had Banjo Kazooie. Starlink. I was going to buy it for PlayStation. I ended up buying Starlink. I know it's, whatever now, but I ended up buying Starlink for Switch because you could play Star Fox. And that's the kind of thing I'm trying to point out. Uh, you know, you even have Microsoft recently say that their companies that they recently bought, they're going to be, they're going to have them done, right? Once they're done with their multi-platforms, they're going to specifically be exclusives to Xbox, which means their next sequels, probably to those games, will no longer be on all platforms because Xbox needs exclusives. I know people may not like it, but exclusives do sell video games. Nintendo, when it was the Wii, they said one of the reasons why it dominated was because the exclusives were accessible to everyone, but it was their exclusives that made the most money. Exclusives are usually the best games that the systems have because it looks the best. They can focus on that specific system and they can put their heart and soul into it. And for it, the exclusives help sell the game. So I know, for example, that what are they called? Obsidian Entertainment, I think. Yeah, Obsidian Entertainment with the Outer Worlds. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, so you got that going, and Outer Worlds, the next one, if they come out with another one, that might just be an Xbox exclusive. Now, I don't really care for Outer Worlds, but I'm just saying, like, you kind of have to start looking at that. There is a console war. Yeah, it's not the same as it used to be, and people, say stuff, but the console war is here. Like, it always will be to some extent, and it should be for that. I mean, it's kind of was one of those things. You got, you know, Microsoft dealing with support cross-play stuff, but PlayStation not included. How about Bayonetta? Bayonetta, the first game was on all three systems. Now it's a Nintendo exclusive. Now, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but I get it. You're not happy about the Spider-Man because it's Spider-Man. But don't sit there and say, well, I can't play with Spider-Man, so it's not fair. I just named a couple situations that Xbox did that wasn't fair. They got the first DLCs. They got these things. Like I said, you couldn't play with Hulk except for the Xbox specifically. You couldn't play it anywhere else. Venom, Magneto, Doctor Doom. And those games was pretty popular at that time, so that kind of hurt. But I had to deal with it. I either had to get the Xbox and get it for Xbox, or I had to kind of eat it. And for a long time, I just kind of ate it. It was like, I guess I just can't play with Hulk and Venom and Magneto, Doctor Doom. So when people are go when people are doing it, yeah, Sony paid for it. I get it. But when I'm seeing people like, I'm going to boycott the game and I'm not going to buy it, really? You could just get a PlayStation 4. You could get a used one. You could wait a little. But I think that's like an extreme reaction because I didn't do that. Like, it's because it happens. It sucks, but it does happen. And I still feel like people are going to buy this game. And also, too, that move gave this game as a whole a lot of buzz. I mean, some people were excited, other people weren't. But now they're like, man, Spider-Man. Might have to get that game. Because it's freaking Spider-Man. Now, I think Xbox needs to sit back and go, okay, all right, Sony, you did this. We got something for you. And for the next third-party game that's popular, try to see if they could get Master Chief or something in there and try to really, like, pursue and push. And that's all I really had to say. I know this video runs a little long, but it's not anti-consumerism. I just gave you examples of when it happens. It's an exclusivity thing. As long as it doesn't impact, and I remember with Destiny or something, like you couldn't see certain guns. And I think Call of Duty, people used to do that. I didn't really care for Call of Duty, but I have friends who love Call of Duty, and they play on PlayStation, and people like, I got this. Where's yours? Oh, gotta wait 30 days. Oh, sorry for you. So they were rubbing it in. And they had that for years. These things where I remember a couple of my friends, they were like, I get to play with Hulk, you don't. Hey, and I would play with them and they'd be like, hey, yeah, play with Hulk. Yeah, now when you play yours, you can't do it. Yeah, it sucks. It does, and I do get it. It lowers your experience. I understand. It lowers your experience because you're like, well, they get to have something I don't. I get it. You are allowed to be upset, but it is not anti-consumerism. It is competition. It doesn't hurt the player. Anti-consumerism is when it does benefits no players whatsoever. It benefits nobody except for the company, and they can just make tons of money while you suffer. If you're a PlayStation person, this benefits you as a PlayStation person, like myself. It does not benefit you as a PC gamer. It does not benefit you as an Xbox person. But there may be another game. Let's say DC comes out with something, some kind of game similar to Marvel Ultimate Alliance like they did before, and actually do that game better, because the game wasn't bad, but the fact that the leveling system was so off. So the character you started with, if you got, like, let's say John Stewart, he was at level 1, even though you were like 10 levels in. Dumb. And they didn't have like a quick way to grow them, so you had to go through the game and play and then just keep fighting robots. That game has so much potential and it was wasted. Anyway, let's say they came out with a game like that, right? And you get Batman because you cannot not have Batman. But let's say it's a Justice League kind of game, but it's like Justice League Unlimited, right? But on one particular game, you get to have like I don't know, Green Arrow. Now, by the way, on this DLC, either Spider-Man's going to be crazy super powered and there's going to be a power fantasy, or he's going to be crazy nerfed. But let's say you get Green Arrow into one game and he has like the Green Arrow mission where he's like defending Star City from like the alien invasion that the Justice League is dealing with. He's not with the Justice League, and he's specifically, it's just a bunch of runs where you get to just play around and a bunch of different crazy arrows, and you get to like just pop off on aliens and you defend Star City. But no one else gets it but Xbox. Yeah, is PlayStation people going to be upset? Yeah. Green Arrow is kind of popular right now. I'm not saying he's as big as Batman or even as big as Spider-Man, but he's kind of popular. You know, he had a TV show with Arrow and stuff like that. And, you know, let's say you get that. It's going to annoy you. But it's not anti-consumerism because of this. Now, they said, well, he's an integral part of the game and he actually contributes to the story. And now I don't get to have that part of the story. That's anti-consumerism because it's not benefiting the consumer as a whole. Because what they're doing is they're trying to cut people off. And they're trying to make it, because eventually they're going to try to wheel and deal you to say, well, buy it again. So it's a little different. But when it's just something that's DLC, it's just a fun thing add-on, but it's not something that changes the game storyline or the game itself. You don't need Spider-Man to play the game. If you needed Spider-Man to play the game, to get that full experience, to get the full story, then yes, it would be anti-consumerism. Same as like Green Arrow. If you need a Green Arrow to do something, it's not just have like kind of a fun jump around or just, hey, I'm playing with these different arrows, then yes. So, in closing, because this video has ran long, it's not anti-consumerism. It's something Xbox has done before. It's something that Nintendo has done before with their exclusives or certain things. It's just an exclusive feature that gets you to create competition. And remember, competition makes sure everyone is at their best, and they will always keep the price points down because they got to make sure the other guy doesn't outwheel and deal them. All right? So please, you're allowed to be angry. You are totally within your right to be upset. People in the comments and anywhere, don't sit there and be like, hey, we got and you don't, because that's not right. Because I felt that, and I know what that feels like. Also, too, the people at Xbox, don't sit there and just go, well, I hate everything, and you suck, and Sony sucks. No, it's just something Sony did, and it's a good business move. It's disappointing for some people, but it's a good business move. Let's calm down a little bit, okay? Geek Protagonist, you stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real. I'll see you. You know, keep yourself clean and everything. It's jungle out there. All right? Calm down. All right, I'll see you. Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out in the channel if you actually share these videos. If you like what I'm doing, please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see ya.